All right. It's just about shut up piano, shut up piano. It's still going. Okay. It's just about that time. It's just about that time. As you can tell by the title, I am woefully unprepared for this stream today. It's primarily like normally I would prep for it the night before, but as many of you guys know, I went and did some Bloodborne gameplay live last night. We streamed it. If you haven't seen it, I just made it public. So I can throw it in the chat, I guess, right in a second. But it's, yeah, no, it went pretty well. It went pretty well. I enjoyed it. People seemed to really like it. We got through the first 3 bosses on our first try, all 3. It was a good time. It was a really good time. We're going to be doing a lot more of it. I do have a Twitch channel, Lukey Poo TV. We're going to be streaming over there a lot over the summer, and we'll still be doing this stuff here on YouTube, but we're going to do a lot there as well. 101 Mythbusters says your hair looks fabulous. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's 100% fake. It's a wig. So yeah, no, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some stuff I've had pent up a little bit for a while. They're more broad topics as opposed to specific news related items. And the main reason is just because there hasn't been a lot of really interesting news this week. I mean, we had, like, this was one thing. Let me show this to you. We had this thing that was a little interesting. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the first expansion pass, DLC pack 1, whatever. Like, seriously, expansion pass, DLC pack 1. Like, I don't know if this is racist. It's very Japanese. Expansion pass DLC pack number 1, detailed super mega rockstar. Like, it's pretty stereotypically exaggerated, but it looks pretty interesting. If I zoom in, scale it up a little, basically what it does is it adds like a trial of the sword. So you have some new quests to do, heroes path mode. This new map feature shows the path Link has walked. This is actually really cool, and I am actually kind of excited for this. Basically, the game has logged all, like, everywhere you've stepped in the world, and this was actually a pretty impressive thing they did while they were developing the game. Is they developed this system that would track everywhere you went. So they would actually have a line, little red line, going wherever you walked. And what that allowed them to do is to figure out where players were and were not going while playing the game. And the places they were going to, they might use some terrain features to break it up and force them into the areas they weren't going to. And then they would also, in those areas people weren't going to, they'd ask, why aren't people going there? And then add like a tower there or a really interesting fort or something like that. So they actually decided to put that in as a feature. And what this allows you to do is it shows the path Link has walked through Hyrule from the last 200 hours of gameplay. Use the time tracker bar to see where you've spent the most time and where you have yet to explore. This is probably why they didn't include a total game timer, because they wanted to sell it to you. There's bound to be more adventures, maybe a shrine or 2 on the road less traveled. Yeah, it'll be useful because I'm actually kind of interested to see where I've gone and where I haven't gone, where I've focused. It could be cool. Hard mode, and enemies gradually regain health. Okay, all enemies are also powered up by 1 level, so if they're a red bokoblin, then they go up to like blue, I think is the next level, and etc. They go up. Enemies can also have higher maximum levels than they would in normal mode, and they also float on the sky in little bloat ships, which is interesting. They also add some of these items. I'm not really interested in that. More armor. This apparently rattles when you get near a Korok seed. There's over 900 Korok seeds in the game that you can find, and I've never had a problem finding them when I need them, so I don't see how this is super useful. I think it would be more just annoying than anything else. And yeah, that's basically it. And they want you to pay, I believe you get all this for, you also get your hero sword, or the whatever it is, what the hell is that called? The sort of one, I don't know what it's called, whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. Basically that never breaks after you buy the DLC, which that's kind of pay to win. It's not multiplayer, so I guess it's okay. I believe they're asking $20 for it. And it's a full, $20. You get all the DLC for it, including the extra story that they're adding this fall, but I don't know if that's worth it. The game is really, really good, but it is a game that I think I'm going to need a break from for a long while before I go back to it. Mainly, as I said on the stream last night, the combat is really, really bad and totally dependent. Master Sword, thank you, Geralt. That's what it's called. The Master Sword. It's so dependent on gear that it irks me, but then it also, the gear breaks, which is how they force you to go out and keep searching for stuff. And it's kind of this gameplay loop where you need equipment to fight. And so you go and you find equipment by searching in the world, and then you use that equipment to fight, but then it breaks. So you have to go back out and search for more. And it's really, really frustrating. Not the good kind of frustrating. It gets to the point where it's just flat out annoying. And, I finished the story of Breath of the Wild in 40 hours, doing a lot of side quests and everything. And I felt it was a good amount of time. You can't carry on afterwards. There's no post game or whatever it would be called, end game. Once you finish the story, you have to go back to the last save before you took out Ganon. And then you can just keep playing, but you get a little star next to your save file. And it's okay. It's okay. I mean, I'm not opposed to it directly, because I don't think they promised that it would be like that, and most Zelda games work that way anyways. But it was a little surprising that I couldn't just carry on and I had to pretend like I hadn't fought Ganon. Plus, Ganon is kind of an anticlimactic boss fight. If you take out the 4 guardians, basically, the 4 big creatures around the map, then he gets nerfed down to like half health, and then you go and you just destroy him. It's kind of a bloodbath. And so yeah, it was a little anticlimactic for me. Some people loved the ending, and I heard IGN, I think, or Game Informer, one of those sites, they said when they were reviewing the game, they decided they were teetering around 9.5, 9.75, but then the ending took them over to the 10.0. I would say the ending actually would probably take it down for me by quarter of a point to half a point. The game is good. The game is very good. 10 out of 10, no. I would say probably a 9.5, 9.25. The combat mechanics are really irking me. The shrines, the fact that they're so repetitive and so many of them are just garbage. Where like you can go through one of the shrines in the span of like 5 seconds. I'm not even kidding. Like, if you know what you're doing, you just go, you hit it, gate opens up, you run right through. And then other shrines are really elaborate, and you're like, this is awesome. Why isn't this in all of them? And so it's a little weird. It's inconsistent, but I'd probably give it a 9.5 or 9.25. It's really good. I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. And so yeah, will I get the expansion pass? Probably in around like Christmas break next year, or this year, I guess, late this year. I'm sure I'll be having that Zelda itch that I have to scratch, but as of right now, I'm okay. I still have to finish Persona 5. I'm only like 6 hours into Persona 5, and I just committed to doing a Bloodborne run through. So what are you gonna do? But yeah, no, the people saying that Zelda Breath of the Wild is a revolutionary, industry-changing game, I think that's a little absurd. It's really not. It's good. It's a game that's fun. One of the big things for me that sold it was the fact that I could play it on the go with the Switch, that I could take it with me and play like 45 minutes of Zelda in between classes. I had a business accounting class. I took a test, and then I had like an hour until my next like business statistics class. And so I pulled out my Switch from my backpack, sat down on one of the couches on campus, and I just I killed Thunder whatever Ganon. I just took him out, done, put it away, back in my bag, went to stats class. And that's what I really do like about the Switch, the fact that I can just pop it out, do it. It's all solid state. hardware, so it's really fast, really quick. I really do enjoy that about it. I think that probably helped me enjoy Zelda more, because I was able to enjoy it wherever I was. Whereas a lot of games where I have to be sitting in this chair here, staring at my screen, this screen, was a little frustrating. But no. Persona 5 is the next game on the docket that I need to go through. Deathstroke 5700 in the chat says Persona 5 is long but never gets old. And Liam Shaw says Persona 5 is more like pretty weird and not enough English. Yeah, it's a Japanese game. It launched back in, I think, October of 2016 in Japan, but it only recently came to the States and to Europe. And it's pretty good. It's pretty good, but it is a game, like, its intro makes Assassin's Creed 3 look fast. And if you ever played Assassin's Creed 3, you know that was probably one of the most truncated, long, boring intros to any video game ever. Like, that easily could take off a 1.5 out of 10 in a review, because so many people, I guarantee you, just set the game down and never went back to it because the intro was so boring. They're like, oh, look, he's a Native American. He's very respectful while he cuts open the meat of the tahanka, and then he's going to eat it, and it will bring his juju back, whatever. I don't care. Just let me play as an assassin. That's why I bought the game. You can have a narrative context established while having interesting gameplay take place. They didn't really get that. I still love Assassin's Creed 3. It's one of my favorite games of the franchise. But holy hell, that intro dragged on. You didn't actually get to play as an assassin till like 4 hours in. And with Persona 5, 6 hours in, you're still learning concepts and mechanics. You still have tutorial pop-ups coming up. The game feels like one giant tutorial, and like maybe at the end you'll know how to play the game, but it's so slow and so just, it's a snail. It's a snail of a game. I'm enjoying it. The narrative is great, but it really takes its time. Really takes its time. But yeah. No, so Zelda's one thing that happened this week. They announced it. It seemed interesting. Like I pointed out there. Another thing that happened, Darksiders 3, was like, they had their gameplay. Let me share this. They had their gameplay release, and how many of you guys have heard of this game? How many people have heard of this? This is really interesting. The hair looks pretty cool. But I mean, it looks interesting. At this point, any combat other than Breath of the Wild is looking really good to me. It's really tainted all of it. One of the reasons we played Bloodborne last night, because the combat was so horrible. But yeah, I mean, it looks interesting. I'm not familiar with the Darksiders franchise. A lot of people seem really excited about it, though. I'll keep an eye on it, but we'll just have to see. We'll have to see. I'm not super familiar with it. Let me know in the chat what you guys think of it. If it's something that's interesting to you, because I really am not familiar with the franchise enough to make a judgment. I wish I were, but I am not. Let me know. Kamuro Tetsu says Darksiders 3 ! Let me know what you think of it in the chat, so I can know a little more about it. And also Prey launched today, actually, and let's look up some Steam reviews of Prey. I want to see what people are saying. I watched ACG's review of Prey. He's like one of the first people to put out a review on Prey. It's published by Bethesda Softworks, and I made a video about this. And what they did is they changed their policy on reviews so they wouldn't send out review codes or copies of games until the day before release. For a few people, I think they make an exception. But when I heard that, I was like, what are you doing? There's no good explanation for that. There's no way I can spin that to make it okay. But no, sure enough, they're just like, no, we just don't want to put it in the hands of people. We want to make sure reviews are ham-fisted and come in late, because that's what we do. Yes, I know Prey might contain negative imagery. I'm I consider myself fairly mature. But yeah, this is it. I hope I'm not sharing any private information. I don't think so. So this is really interesting. I was worried about the performance. Can I zoom in? No, I can't scale. I can't scale the text. This is as good as it's going to get, so I'll just have to try. So apparently it runs really, really well on PC, which is great because the last game put out by Arcane was Dishonored 2, and that game had horrendous PC performance. Like so bad. I actually got it, and within 10 minutes I had returned the game because it was so buggy. The frame drops were insane. It was really bad, and I was worried that it was going to turn out to be the same thing, but it's in a different engine, and apparently people are saying it runs really, really well. This guy right here, OBB or OB, says runs really well so far, currently getting 130 FPS at 1440p with a 980 Ti. That's really good. That's really good. 130 at 1440. I'm assuming he's running it on high. I'm assuming. As I said in my information view, I said that the game reminds me a lot of BioShock Infinite. And people are also saying that in their little reviews. They're saying it's like BioShock with a bit more, or BioShock with a bit more system shock, which is cool. Lots of shocking. BioShock, System Shock, just shocking. It's all shocking. So yeah, no, it's these reviews all seem pretty positive, and it's actually not bad. A lot of people are drawing drawing comparisons to Half-Life 2, actually, which I found really interesting. But once somebody pointed that out to me, I was like, oh, I kind of see what you're saying. It does kind of have that vibe. And apparently some of the environments later in the game are really, really impressive. So I'm glad to hear that some companies are learning. Yeah, all these are positives. That's good. I'm glad to hear that all these people are having a good experience with it, and that Bethesda learned their lesson and focused on polish this time around, because that's getting to be rare for PC ports. But apparently they developed the game from the start on PC, running it off of PC, and then they actually did console ports, and instead of going and doing a PC port from a console developed game, which is good to hear. And that always, whether you're a console player or a PC player, you should be happy about that. But that's really, really cool. The other thing that got a lot of people upset was the demo that they put out for Prey was only available on consoles. And they said that this was for a variety of reasons. At first, they were saying that it was because like data miners can hack in and steal information on the total game performance, whatever it was, which was total BS, like total BS. If somebody wants to do that, they can do it on a console copy of a demo just as easily. It's not like, if somebody wants to do that, they're going to do it if you give a demo out. So that wasn't legit. But then they came out and they said, okay, well, yeah, it's because we have Steam refunds on the PC, and you can refund the game within 2 hours if you don't like it, and that's your demo. And I actually was like, yeah, no, that's fair. That's perfectly fair. I actually kind of totally agree with that. And I actually found it surprising that he said that. I think it was like their PR person, marketing person at Arcane, because I found that surprising, because they actually lose money. Developers actually lose money on Steam refunds, because when you sell a game on Steam, you pay $60 to get the game. This is $59.99. You pay $60 to get the game, and then if you don't like it, you return it. But on that initial $60 sale, Steam takes a certain percentage of it. It could be maybe 30%, could be 7%. I don't know. I think each developer has or each big publisher has different deals within a certain margin. But Steam takes a cut of it. And once they take that cut, Steam doesn't give that back if the game is refunded. That difference has to be made up by the developer if you actually go and you do this. So it's really, really interesting how this works, at least as far as I understand. That was what their policy was a few months back. Might have changed it since then, which could justify why they're saying this, but they would actually normally lose money on refunds, slight portions, but it shows that they're at least a little confident in the game if they're saying people aren't going to be refunding it within 2 hours. So that's really cool to see. Yeah, Steam makes a lot of money from these little sales. They're just sitting on it. They are just sitting on it. As for the PC requirements, let's see. Minimum is GTX 660 or a 7850, 2 gigs VRAM. That's actually fairly low. And then the recommended is an i7 2600K or an AMD 8350, 16 gigs of RAM with a GTX 970 or an R9 290. That's to be expected for recommended. That's way better and more reasonable than what they had for Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2, they were saying like the minimum or recommended were like 980s, and it was crazy. People were getting freaked out because that's insane, and it didn't run at all. Anyways, and then PC Gamer names Dishonored 2 their game of the year. I'm like, what are you doing? The game didn't run on PC. It was the weirdest choice for game of the year ever. Weirdest thing. But yeah, no, that's to be expected. And apparently the high RAM requirement of 16 gigs and 8 gigs is the minimum. Apparently that's all resulting in kind of based in the AI. They're using a lot of really complicated AI for like mimics and stuff because they have to be able to look at the environment and choose which items to jump into. Kind of interesting. But yeah, if this is a new trend, and yes, this is a bucket of coffee, there was a deal going on where if you paid them for a large, then they would donate the money to the ALS Foundation, and you would also get a stamp card with 9 out of 10 stamps. So I was like, hell yeah. Practically, that makes this drink free, so I'm okay with that. And the money goes to a good cause. It's a win-win. I just, get sick to my stomach with coffee. Everybody wins. So, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, but if this is a sign of where Bethesda Softworks is going with their publishing, maybe that's also a sign of Bethesda Game Studios where they're going. The day that Bethesda puts out a game that runs as well as Prey, I will be like, that's the day the end of time is near, because that just doesn't happen. But maybe they're changing it up. It all usually floats from the engine. It usually comes from the engine, and the engine that Bethesda uses, the Creation engine, absolute garbage. They've been trying to just like reboot it and refresh it and do weird things to it to keep it alive. It's like a zombie at this point. And it's just a steaming pile of garbage. I mean, I thought Fallout 4, when it was running, worked pretty well and looked really good. The animations were subpar as usual, but that's pretty typical for open world games and for big games like that. So I wasn't super surprised, but I thought the game looked pretty good. The problem was just the bugs that were so abundant. So the graphical portion of the engine worked pretty well because it was new, but all of the other stuff with practically everything else, game systems, everything, questing, breaking quests, so I couldn't continue them. It was all just broken. So if they can establish this type of standard, I would be very, very happy. Imagine if they had to delay a Bethesda game because the publisher, Bethesda Softworks, was like, it's too buggy, get your crap together, guys. Like that would be incredible. I hope that happens. I would have more respect for Bethesda as a publisher and as a game studio if they were able to do that. But yeah, I mean, Alexander Bandera says, I played Fallout New Vegas. It's the best game that I played and one of the worst in terms of graphics. Yeah, New Vegas is a weird game when you think about it. It's a game that it defines RPG for me, and it has branching narratives, it has branching play styles. You can get surprisingly far in New Vegas doing a pacifist run, and that's usually my test, is to do like a crazy evil serial killer run of the game and then also try a pacifist and see how far I can get in the game with all of those. And with both of those playstyles, you can get basically through the entire game doing it. And that shows that they wanted to let you decide how you play the game. Whereas a lot of recent RPGs have a set structure that you need to follow, and you might get to choose between a few different endings, but you can't, like, Fallout 4, again, will go for this, because that game wasn't an RPG. If you tried to play it as an RPG, you wouldn't have a good time. If you played it as an open world shooter, you'd have a great time. But I don't like it when you have like 4 possible answers. And of those 4 possible answers, one is yes. One is a sarcastic yes. One is a funny but playful yes. And then one is saying no, but that actually means yes. And then maybe throw in one maybe that ends up being yes as well. So there's no real choice. They give you the illusion of choice. And a lot of game development is about creating an illusion of agency, I suppose, where you feel like you can do whatever you want, but really you're on a very tight track. Breath of the Wild does it very, very well, where they give you this initial area and they say, do whatever you want. You have the tools you need to. And you're like, wow, this is great. This plateau, the Great Plateau, is so big, so much to do. And then once you get access to the rest of the map, you're totally overwhelmed and like, holy hell, where do I even go? I don't know. And that's something that they manage very well. They gave you the illusion of freedom when in reality, you have to follow a fairly strict path in those early, I'd say, hour and a half, 2 hours. And it's something The Witcher 3 doesn't even beat around the bush with. They say, yeah, no, you're open to all of this, but certain areas you're going to need to follow the story to get access to. If you want to go to Skellige, you got to go and you got to pay the dude to ship you over there. There's certain things you have to do. And I'm okay with that when you're at least aware. But when you try to trick me into thinking that I'm totally free and every choice I'm making has some crazy impact on the game and the narrative, it's just not true. And I can see that it's not true when it's done really, really, really poorly. And it was a little frustrating. Let's see. Studio of Greatness says, would you play ultra modded Skyrim? I'm assuming is what you're saying. I have played a lot of modded Skyrim, and Skyrim is, again, on the topic of open world games, Skyrim is a weird one because Skyrim is a sandbox. I wouldn't consider it necessarily an RPG in the way that I define an RPG, but it's a sandbox. You can play the game, do whatever the hell you want to do, and once you add in mods, you get a game that you could easily put thousands of hours into. Easily. It's a giant game. I really enjoyed it because Bethesda was like, listen, we're going to make this game. It's a sandbox. The world design is going to be great. You're going to have a lot of interesting things to look at, to hang out, to do, to explore. It's going to be great. The problem I think that they hit with Fallout 4 was that they tried to do what Obsidian did with New Vegas, and they just didn't understand what made New Vegas awesome. And so they ended up with a story that was absolute garbage, plot holes all over the place, like so many plot holes. It kind of baffles me to this day that the game was released with it in that state. And I don't know, I think Skyrim is one of those games that they struck gold, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They should have gone to Fallout 4 and said, yeah, people love the worlds that we create. People love Oblivion and Skyrim because they give you this big sandbox that you can just go and play in. And they tried instead in Fallout 4 to give you a more Obsidian type of experience, but that's just not what they're good at. That's not what they do. It's just frustrating. Liam Shaw says, name a game that's come out this year. Whoops, it scrolled past. You guys are chatting fast. Liam Shaw says, name a game that's come out this year that wasn't called an RPG. Yeah, well, you make a good point. Every game nowadays is labeled an RPG, which is why I put the thumbnail as Aloy, because I wanted to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn. There we go. Horizon Zero Dawn was advertised as an RPG, as a role-playing game. And in the initial game, initial sequences, they give you all these choices where you can talk to Rost or to whoever, and you have like 3 choices. You have like the brainiac kind of smart aleck response, you have the calculated response, and then you have the kind, loving response. And they said that this will affect your experiences later on. And to some extent they do, but very, very, very minimally. And it's very, very rare that you actually can branch and change stuff out as a result of your actions and your choices. This is not an RPG by my standard. I really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn. I thought it was a great intro into a new franchise. I think it shows a lot of potential. It was not an incredible game to me. I enjoyed it a lot, but the game advertised itself as an RPG. But once you started playing it, within 2 hours, you realized that there was no real freedom. You needed to follow the story that they were giving you. There was no branching. The king asks you to help him. You have to help him in order to continue the story. You can't tell him to F off and that, no, you killed some of my ancestors and like, or your father killed some of my ancestors. I can't. Just because you're the Sun King, I don't respect you, whatever. And then he's like, okay. And then has you execute it. Like, even something like that. I've never understood why like game developers can't just throw something like that in where they say, okay, we're going to give the player complete freedom. If they go, like in The Witcher 3, you go to the Emperor, you speak to the Emperor, he says, find my daughter. You say, no. And he says, find my daughter or I'm going to have you executed. In most games, they change it so you only have one choice, and that's to say, yes. Well, why not just give me the freedom to say yes, and like, okay, I won't, I'm sorry, I don't want to help you find your daughter, kill me. They're like, okay. So then they just have a quick cut scene of Geralt getting decapitated or burned at the stake or something. And it's really, really frustrating because that wouldn't take that long, but it would remind me that I am in control. Like, I was controlling Geralt. I was doing what I wanted to do. I told the king to go F himself. And as a result, he had me executed because he was the emperor. He was the king, head honcho. And so that's where my life ended, but I chose that to be the end. I didn't go and follow some path. It's a fairly simple thing to do. And like same thing like this in Horizon Zero Dawn, let players break the game. If you're playing through Horizon and you experience like Ross telling you to go and take the challenge to become a member of the Nora tribe, give the players an option to say, no, I don't want to be part of that at all. I don't want to do that. Sorry. And then you just run off and you start exploring. And then all of a sudden you pick up in the story like halfway through. You come across something and like it's fairly simple and straightforward to do if you structure it the right way. But it's really frustrating that developers don't let you break the game. And I understand why they don't, but it usually goes back to a trust in the player. And they rarely have a trust in the player. They usually are like, okay, yeah, people playing our games, they're usually pretty smart. They know what they're doing. But we don't want them to break their experience to the point where it wouldn't be fun anymore as they deem it. And as a result, they put you on little tracks and say, no, you got to do this. When you go bowling, going to go with this example. When you go bowling, you have the giant ball with the fingers or with the holes that your fingers don't fit into. It's always either way too light or way too heavy. And you go and you're wearing these shoes that are falling apart and smell like some like Satan's smegma. And you go and you roll back and you go. And with the little kids, like I went with my little siblings a few weeks ago, they'll throw it right in the gutter and it'll be really funny. And they will lose. They might be really embarrassed. That's good. That's good. It's how they learn. Like, oh, I was standing too far to the right. I need to go to the left, or vice versa. Or, oh, I need to take my arm straight back instead of angling it. I need to be more gentle. I need to not throw it like a basketball. Like, these are the lessons that you learn. But in the current gaming industry, they just put the rails up. So you roll it, no matter what you do to that ball, you're going to knock some pins down and everybody's the winner. Everybody's a winner. No, some people should lose because they did something stupid. Same thing with an RPG. If you're not willing to let a player destroy his experience, then I don't think it's a real RPG. And The Witcher 3 does it in multiple instances where you can really mess stuff up. And I mean, look up, I won't spoil it for you, make it your own decision. But you can look up The Witcher 3's worst ending and you can see how it can turn out if you make stupid decisions. But with Horizon Zero Dawn, they're trying to set it up for a sequel. And as a result, they needed the story to follow a certain path. And like, if you're playing through the game and you're like, this weird black dude keeps talking to me in my head thing, in my focus, and he seems to have less than stellar intentions. So as a result, you know what? I'm just not going to take him seriously. I'm not going to do what he says. I'm going to go do my own thing. There's no way to continue. You have to follow his instructions. You have to do exactly what he says. Let me break the game. That's what I want. Let me break the game. It's a simple point, but freedom, there's always this trade-off. It's like in politics when they say that there's a trade-off between freedom and security. You have to choose if you want to be more free or more secure. Kind of follows in this case where you have to choose between player freedom and a more streamlined, consistent experience that they've carefully crafted. And in the case of something like Uncharted 4, for instance, or The Last of Us, they try to trick you into thinking that you're free to tell a very scripted, very linear story. And for the most part, it works because they have brilliant level designers working for them. And it really goes well. But as a result, you have very, very little freedom in how you can approach the game, how you can play it. You have to do it the way they want you to. And with something like Breath of the Wild, they just say you have the tools you needed, go for it, have fun, do whatever the hell you want to do. If you want to go straight to Ganon, you can kill him right off the bat, be done with the game in half an hour. Congratulations. That's if you want to do that. Or if you want to go around, just do side quests or hunt shrines down or buy a house in the Hoteno village, I think it is. Hokeno, something like that. You can do that. You can buy a house and store your weapons and get a little bed that you can rest in and bake food. It's really, really cute. I just bought it. It's really fun. Like you can do whatever you want. Skyrim was kind of the same way where they said, yeah, we have a story, but it's bad. It's kind of stupid. So go do whatever you want. You want to join the Dark Brotherhood? You want to join the Thieves Guild? You want to go do what? Go. Have fun. Do whatever. If you don't want to follow our story, you don't have to. And the problem with a lot of RPGs recently is that they try to sell you and tell you that you can break the game, that you have all this freedom when you don't. You have to win the race as Aloy in this sequence. If you're playing the game right now, and I just stood on that ledge, I actually tested it. If you stand on the ledge, if in this gameplay I just stood still, everyone else would wait for me. I wouldn't lose. I could wait there for like 10 minutes and then go back around the corner and they would be just in pace with me because it's very scripted and they're trying to tell a linear story but trick you into thinking that it's branching. And so I personally prefer in an RPG more freedom. If the game is telling me it tells a linear story, I'm fine with it being linear. Perfectly fine with that. But if you're going to try to sell me on your game by saying it's an RPG, it better be an RPG, and if it ain't, I don't care. I don't care. I don't like it when people lie. Alexander Bandera says, I think it's more what the shareholders want. I'm assuming you're in reference to this topic. Like, everything is always going to be corporate. Everything's always going to be about money. It just always is going to be like that. That's just how the world turns. And it's fairly understandable that that's how everything works, but at the same time, you can put out a lot of games in different styles and with different things. I don't think that will have a direct effect on it. So no, I enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn. I really did enjoy it, but it's a game that I felt was way more shallow than a lot of people admitted. I think it had a lot of potential, but I think that certain elements of the gameplay were not really thought out super well. The combat ended up being, do you have enough arrows to do this? Instead of, do you have the skill to do this? A lot of the enemies just ended up being like really, really just arrow sponges, as opposed to things where you had to really carefully think about it. I think if you had a way to parry the enemies in some way, that could be really interesting. Like say a sawtooth comes at you and you have a way to like use your spear to deflect their attack, and if you time it just right, That would be cool, because then it adds an element of skill, but the gameplay never seemed to be very skill focused. Which was always a little frustrating for me. A little frustrating for me. But let me know what you guys think in the chat. I would be interested in hearing. It's a cool game. I tried playing through it with the lady friend a couple weeks ago, and once you've played through Horizon once, it gets kind of dull trying to go through it again. It's not a game that has a lot of replay value, as I think Breath of the Wild would probably have. Which is fine. It doesn't need to. If I put 40 hours into it, then it's just one of those things. Prince Ben TV asks, Lukey Poo, do you think the mainstream success of the gaming industry is one of the biggest reasons for the lack of polish in the last few years? I think there's an idea of quantity over quality, certainly, in the gaming industry. A lot of people identify as gamers, which marketing departments, if you've ever dealt with marketing, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Marketing departments look at quick stats and say, oh, wow, 52% of gamers are women. More women are gamers than men. That's amazing. So let's put a strong, independent woman as the lead of our game, and it'll be really good. We'll sell lots of copies. And they don't even look into it more. The idea that more women are gamers, as most of us would define a gamer as somebody who uses gaming as a hobby, they spend money on their hobby, they really spend a lot of time doing it. It's absurd to think that more women do it than men. I would like it if more women did it, but it's not true. Those stats are using mobile gaming and equating that to a hardcore PC player who spends $5,000 on his rig. They are completely equal in their gamerness in those statistics. And certain games like Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm fine with Aloy. I think she was kind of a ham-fisted character who wasn't developed. There's no personality to her that I sympathized with. She seemed really dull and like, I am strong, I am woman, I hear me roar, like, and I don't know. I kind of saw what they were doing. You could see right through it. But I thought she worked as the protagonist in the story. At least it was consistent in their portrayal of her. But to say that, like, we're creating all these female characters because more women and play games than men, and we need to do this, then it's just kind of bullharky. But I don't know how I got on that from corporations and kind of success in mainstream gaming. I think a lot of it is corporate. It's trying to increase profits, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily driving factor. In the end, we're the ones responsible because we're buying the crap. So if they put out a garbage game and then we buy it, it's our own damn fault if they do it again, because they still made money off of it. Like with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. A lot of people didn't like where they were going, but it was like the top selling game of the year. And that's just how it is. Still sold millions and millions of copies. So they're like, okay, people didn't like it. Who cares? We still made our money. And so in the end, we're the ones that control the market because we have the wallets. If you don't like the way somebody's doing something, just don't buy it. It's pretty straightforward. You're fine if you don't want to buy something because you disagree with the direction it's going. That's perfectly fine. That's why Steam refunds exist. Switching up the topic. This is interesting, and a lot of people have asked me this. Alpha Diamond Z asks, when do you think Assassin's Creed Empire will be out? This is really interesting, and a lot of people have been asking me. My top video right now is a list I did on the reasons that you should be excited for Assassin's Creed Empire. Like just over 500,000 views, did really well, and I got a lot of subscribers from it. So if you're one of those, then I'm glad you're here. But a lot of people have been wondering when I think that the next Assassin's Creed game will be out, and it's an interesting discussion because the management over at Ubisoft Montreal have said multiple times in public, they said we're open to delaying the game until 2018 if we need to. Whenever somebody says something in public, You have to be aware that that is a conscious decision. Very few of these people, especially the head honchos and chief honkies in these big gaming companies, if you're in upper management, you're there because you know what you're doing and you're very, very smart. Very few morons become heads of companies. There might be a stereotype that a lot of people get up there because their daddy knew somebody, and I suppose that you could say that that's true in some cases, but in general, these people are very, very smart and very sharp, and everything they say is calculated and carefully rehearsed. And so when this guy comes out in an interview and says, we're open to delaying the next Assassin's Creed game to 2018, you have to realize that that is something that he talked to his other executives about it. Like, should we say this? He probably consulted his marketing department. Would this be a good thing to say in this interview? Because they will ask me. It's not a pop question that he didn't see coming when somebody asks him, when is the next Assassin's Creed game out? It's not really a surprise question. So as a result, he had thought about it and meditated on that question and on the answer that he eventually gave. And the answer he gave was that, yeah, we're open to delaying it. So with that in mind, what does that mean? Why would they say that? If they really were focused and intent on releasing it in 2017, would they say that it's open? It's an open-ended question. Well, as we know, they've said multiple times that the game, next Assassin's Creed game, has to be an alpha a year before release. We don't know what state the game is right now. There's no leaks. There's nothing we really know about it, at least in its current state. They've kept it really impressively well. They've kept it on lockdown, which is very impressive, but it's also a little concerning because that probably means it's in an earlier state and not a ton of people in marketing are working on it. It's always marketing people that leak stuff because they create a poster, send it to a print shop, and then somebody at the print shop goes and takes a picture with their phone, and all of a sudden it's all over the place. Call of Duty World War II, that's what happened. They were printing sleeves for the game, hardcover sleeves, and that got out, and that's how it was announced, basically. So it means that it's still latest or soonest, I would say, is probably November, December. I could see a December 4th, December 5th, right before Christmas. You never know. They might blow us all away and do a Fallout 4 and be like, at E3, November, get your hands on it. We're ready to go. We're buckled in. I really hope that happens because I really want the game, but we'll just have to see. My guess as to what that executive meant when he addressed the question of the release date, when he said we're open to delaying it. As I said in the video, I got excited when I heard that, not because I wanted to wait longer for the game, but rather because it meant that they were willing to polish it. And the big criticism of Assassin's Creed games in the last few years have been that they aren't polished, that they're put out too early, too soon, they're glitchy as all hell, and the controls are bad. It's not polished. It's not refined. And so they said, how can we restore that faith in the consumer, in our customers? And they said, we'll do it by saying that by delaying the game for a year, pushing it off to 2017, not releasing a game in 2016. And then also saying that we're open to delaying it another year if we feel that it's not ready. That way, when we eventually release it in November, say, if they're planning on announcing it at E3, then everyone will be blown away because they're like, well, they said they would delay it to 2018 if they needed to. So all of a sudden, whoop, whoop, like, they must know that it's prepared, that it's polished, that it's really in a good state because they said they were willing to delay it if they needed to. So I think it's just going to be one of those things. Hello, Dominic Sheehy, Shehi, I don't know. Greetings from Ireland, man. My man, hashtag Lukey Poo for president. Hashtag Lukey Poo for president. Let's see. Neat Sarah says, hashtag give Lukey review copy of Assassin's Creed Empire. I would love that. I'm actually legitimately going to be contacting Ubisoft right after the announcement. I assume somebody at the company had to have seen at least one of my Assassin's Creed videos. At least one, because they've all done really well. I was talking to like freaking Mr. Matty Plays on Twitter, and he was saying that he saw one of my Witcher 3 videos a while back and really liked it. I'm like, what the hell? Like that video got like 120,000. It's kind of cool when people know about you. Slug Cat Jack says, I'm not even gonna lie, my favorite gaming company was Ubisoft. I was a Rainbow Six Vegas 2 professional. That's a mouthful. I was loving them, and their games were mostly AA standard. It was great. Things changed. Yeah, I really think companies are learning. I think the standard was much lower. The standard was changed after Unity. I think a lot of people realized that people were not happy with these ham-fisted games. I think Prey is a testament to that. They said that they were spending twice as much time and money on QA for Prey as they did on Dishonored 2, which I think shows in the performance. And I guarantee you Empire is going to run a lot faster and a lot smoother and a lot better than any of the others that have come out recently. I'm just ready for it. I'm ready for it, you guys. I'm buckled in. I'm ready to go. But it is a good question. The balancing act that I'm having to pull on the channel is really, really intriguing me, actually, because I have a lot of people here from the Bloodborne. I actually am really interested. If you are in the chat right now, or if you're watching this on YouTube after, go in the comments. I want to hear you comment when you subscribed. Okay, when you got to the channel, what videos sold you on the channel? Was it the Bloodborne video? Was it Assassin's Creed? Was it, like, what was it? I want to know why you're here. Witcher 3 video? Like, I have a few videos that really, really got a lot of exposure, and a lot of people came from those. I'm really interested to hear when you came. But I have people here from the Bloodborne video I did a month or so ago, and that got like 450,000 views really quickly and did really well. So I have a lot of Bloodborne fans here. I have, of course, Assassin's Creed fans. I have Witcher 3 fans, and trying to please everybody is always a little bit tough, and I don't want to exclude anybody. I don't want to just become an Assassin's Creed channel. I don't want to just be a Witcher channel. I don't want to just be a Bloodborne, Soulsborne channel. You know, I want to make sure that I can provide a little bit of everything to everybody, and that's part of where the live streams are going to come in a lot. If you're not following me on Twitch, LukeyPoo TV over on Twitch. I haven't streamed there recently, but we're going to start streaming there a lot more. We're going to be streaming all sorts of games. Like, we're probably going to play through all of Bloodborne, all of Syndicate to get ready for the new game. We're going to have a lot of fun over there. It's going to be great. Let's see what people are saying as to where they came or when they came. Let's see. Machete Lucius says Witcher 3 video. Neat Sarah, the Assassin's Creed video. Dr. J4YE, Dr. J4ye, I don't know. The Witcher 3 video, The Witcher 3 for Alexander Bandera. Liam Shaw says December last year subbed for Assassin's Creed, never regret it. I'm glad you're here. Whoops, I scrolled. Bro Run says The Last of Us vid, Ninja Potato, Witcher all the way. Alexander Wayne, The Witcher 3. Neat Sarah says, I came for the Assassin's Creed video, but I like to see your opinions on everything. I'm glad that, that you value my opinion. It's weird to think about, but thank you. Deathstroke 5700 says, Witcher 3 video when you talked about how it took 2 hours a day from your schedule. Yeah, no, that game nearly destroyed my life. Thank heavens I was able to get through it. Hunter Martin says Assassin's Creed, if I remember correctly. Geralt of Rivia, who's been a long-time viewer, says my very first video I saw from you was on No Man's Sky. I made a few No Man's Sky videos, and one I made, you can look it up, way back when I said No Man's Sky doesn't look very entertaining. It looks boring, repetitive, and I don't think it'll be a good game. I kid you not, I received death threats from that. I think I counted 13 in total, like 13 death threats for saying that I didn't think, I thought No Man's Sky was going to be repetitive. Like, I told you so. I told you guys so. I bragged about it so hard. Oh, Alpha Diamond Z it says he subscribed for the hype Assassin's Creed video. Alexander Wayne says, I've enjoyed all your content since, though, not just Witcher stuff. I'm glad. That's the goal, is to provide general stuff. Tyler O'Toole says Bloodborne. Let's see. 101 Mythbusters says, I subscribed when I saw your Fallout gas prices video. That's way back when. I think I first saw it a few weeks after you uploaded it, but I didn't become a big fan of yours until a few months ago. That is a long time ago. That was a long time. I made a video. I remember I thought it was so successful. It got like 40,000 views. I was so proud of it. And it was looking at a screenshot from their announcement trailer where it was at the Red Rocket gas station, basically, but they were selling coolant. And so I was speculating, doing a full Mr. Matty Plays style speculation video on how I thought that the coolant prices were actually gas prices and meant that we would have vehicles and cars and motorcycles and stuff in Fallout 4. Boy, was I wrong. But that's a throwback. I'm glad to hear that you got more engaged later on, because the content back there wasn't that great. I'm trying to improve it. It still could improve, and we need more of it. But I'm glad you're here. Slugcat Jack says engine sell games. Lukey Poo 2017. I really do believe that. I think engines sell a lot. I mean, I think your engine has a lot more to do with the quality of your game and the overall interpretation of your game than anything else. Lieutenant Trippet Z says The Witcher 3 Restoring Your Faith in the Industry video was when I subbed. That video, a lot of people identified with it. A lot of people really felt like they could identify with the message of that video, that The Witcher 3 changed their opinion of gaming, restored their faith in the industry. And I that video, I did not expect it to be successful whatsoever. Not at all. I threw it together and I was like, I just want to get it out there. I think it's a great game. I think it restored my faith in humanity. And the fact that there were like 150 something thousand other people that would see that and go, amen, brother. I was not expecting it at all. Ninja Potato, yeah, Witcher 3. Alexander Bandera says The Witcher 3 almost destroyed my marriage. Yeah, it could definitely do that. Iron Rod 911 says Star Citizen was the video I subscribed to. Those videos also got a lot of exposure. The Star Citizen community, though, is dangerous. Some of those guys are mean. Like, so mean. You don't want to mess with Star Citizen. I said the structure of their company and of their funding resembles a little bit, I think it was a Ponzi scheme. I don't know. Like where they take money in, they pay off the old people, and then they just keep taking money in to fund this operation. Like Bernie Madoff did in like 2012 when he was caught. He had been doing it for like 20 years because he was just making people invest in his company. He would be like, okay, thanks, we'll invest this in shares. And then he would go to another investor, say, I need 10 grand from you. And the guy would be like, okay, will I get a return? He's like, yeah, great return. Okay. So he takes the 10,000, pays off the old guy, and then he goes to another investor. I need 11,000. Okay, thanks. You'll get another 1,000 when I pay you back. Okay. So he takes it, pays that guy 10,000, keeps 1,000. That's just how it would go. And I said Star Citizen really resembled that because we didn't have a full released game, but people had given out literally dozens, tens of millions of dollars to the Star Citizen development team, and it had never come out. Spartan Kitty Games says I skipped your comment. Let me go back. Spartan Kitty Games says I came from your Game of the Year 2016 video. I'm glad. That video also did fairly well. I mean, I went through, that was right after I got my new camera, and I got a little f2.8 24 millimeter lens, and I tried it, depth of field. I loved it. So I put the Uncharted 4 copy right on the shelf, and I kept it just out of focus. So it was in every shot, and I was really proud of that. I thought it was so cool. I remember that. That was fun. I want to go back to that type of quality kind of filmed content. The voiceover content is easy to make, but like the Bloodborne video, I did a video on headphones that really did not do well, but I was really proud of that one. I did like a Casey Neistat style filming of it. I thought it was decent, but I want to do styles like that where I actually film stuff as well, as a creative challenge a little bit. But we're just about at the time where we need to start wrapping up. I do want to invite all of you to our Discord server. I'm going to put a link in the chat right now. Here's the link. And I want you guys to join up on that Discord if you haven't already. If you guys are in this first batch of people that are in the Discord, you get to join the, you get a badge that's basically OG. You're an original gangster. You are one of the original viewers, so you will forever be distinguished from the rest for having been an early viewer. Spartan Kitty Games says you should make a video of your computer running Crysis. I'm actually looking at upgrading my computer. I'm selling this guy to a friend of mine. He was in a vlog style thing. No, in a vlog I did. I think it's on the vlogging channel. And his name is Paul, and he plays a lot of like RTS games, and he needed to upgrade his computer. So I'm going to sell him this guy, and I'm going to build another one from scratch. That's probably going to be at the end of the month. So I'm going to try to do a full friggin' build video. We'll probably live stream it or something. Oh yeah, if let's see, Slugcat Jack says, can I give you an idea for a video, please? If actually on the Discord there is a room for video topic requests and suggestions. Go over there, that way I don't lose it in the comments. Leave those suggestions down there. Yes, are you special now, Markov Winchevsky? Yes you are. I will add you to the OG club. Welcome one and all. And if you're watching this recorded on YouTube afterwards, you can also join the Discord. I will have a link in the description box below. And then, yes, we will also have a role for patrons. If you are a patron on Patreon, all you need to do is shoot me a direct message or say in the chat who you are as a patron, and then I can add you to the patron group as well, because you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I've seen, I'm literally making about 2% of what I was before the new ad revenue changes came up. So imagine getting a 98% pay cut. Imagine that. That's what I just had happen. But you patrons are really helping me out. So thank you guys for watching. We'll cut it there. I'm sorry this wasn't as prepared and sorted out as it has been in the past. But we will improve it in the future. I'll try to get more preparation next time around. Hopefully there's more news. Can you imagine if we saw an announcement for Assassin's Creed from that, like, within the next week? That would be incredible. They're like, we're going to show you something at E3, and here it is. And they just show a picture of the pyramids or something. Oh, it gives me a gamer boner just thinking about it. Just thinking about it. But yeah, we're going to play through a lot more games on Twitch. We're going to live stream them over on Twitch. It's gonna be great. I cannot wait. Thank you guys for watching. Last comment, and then we're gonna close it off. Machete Lucius says, how far have you come in Zelda? Are you still loving it? I have finished it. 40 hours it took me to finish everything. I still go back from time to time. Like, it just sounds good every once in a while when I'm laying in bed. Play 20 minutes of it, but I'm not as addicted as I once was. But it's a really good game. If you have a Wii U or a Switch, get it. There's no question. But thank you guys for watching. Peace out. Love you all. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.